Emma, why?
Loudly crying faced the man who stole a church pulpit and spoke in tongues. The day Emmanuel will never forget. Thursday, January 30th, 2025. A day that will forever be burned into the memory of one man, Emmanuel, also known as Ocean, a native of Isham Itoy, Uyo. His family home sits quietly beside Nesman Petrol Station on Oron Road. But on this fateful morning, his name would be written in history, not as a hero, but as the man who attempted the most ridiculous church heist ever. The heist, a mission gone wrong. For years, strange things had been happening in the church. First, a few chairs went missing. Then, one by one, more items disappeared, until nearly everything was gone. The congregation whispered in frustration, but no one could catch the culprit. Then came the final straw. The church's aluminum pulpit, the very place where the word of God was preached, became the next target. And the thief, none other than Emmanuel. Under the cover of darkness, he crept into the church and began his operation. He tore apart the pulpit, carefully disassembling the aluminum structure. To avoid suspicion, he removed the decorative yellow altar cloth and wrapped the pieces inside. Everything was going smoothly. The perfect crime, or so he thought. The divine intervention. Just as Emmanuel was about to make his getaway, a visiting pastor from another church walked onto the premises. He immediately noticed something suspicious, a shadow moving inside the church. Curious and concerned, he stepped closer and called out the name of the church's resident pastor. Panic gripped Emmanuel's heart.
Trapped.
Caught red-handed. But instead of running or hiding, he did something completely unexpected. He shut his eyes, raised his hands, and started speaking in tongues. Yes, you heard that right. The same man who had just finished scattering the church's pulpit suddenly turned into a prayer warrior. His voice filled the air as he began a dramatic, spirit-filled performance, shaking his head and calling on divine mercy. But the visiting pastor wasn't fooled. He stood at the entrance, watching this holy act unfold, unimpressed. Without hesitation, he pulled out his phone and called the resident pastor. The final catch. Minutes later, the resident pastor and some church members arrived. But they didn't rush inside. No, they were patient. They waited. And inside, Emmanuel, believing his fake prayers had scared them off, slowly opened his eyes. The coast seemed clear. He smiled to himself, gathered the stolen pulpit parts, balanced them on his head, and confidently walked towards the exit. But just as he stepped outside,
boom,
he was surrounded. A crowd of people had been waiting for him, arms crossed, faces stern. Emmanuel froze. There was no escape. They grabbed him and marched him straight to the village head's palace, where he was forced to confess. And what a confession it was. For over 10 years, Emmanuel had been stealing from homes, shops, and most notably, churches. The resident pastor revealed that over 280 chairs had mysteriously disappeared from the church over time. And now, the pulpit, one of the last remaining items, had almost joined them. But Emmanuel's crimes didn't stop there. Members of the community stepped forward with their own accusations. Some claimed he had stolen from their compounds. Others said their aluminum windows had gone missing. Justice at last. That day, Emmanuel learned the hard way that while a thief may have 6 days to roam free, the 7th day belongs to the owner. His days of robbing in secret were over. The whole town now knew his face, his crimes, and his audacity. And as for the pulpit, it was returned to the church, perhaps a little damaged, but still standing as a testimony to the most bizarre heist in the history of Uyo. And so, the legend of Emmanuel, the pulpit thief who spoke in tongues, was born.